Hey, Shalom, Shalom, want to start off with souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Kakodash, double honor to the apostle of great millstone, and honor to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the raw name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His raw name is Yahweh, and his son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Bel meaning in, Ha meaning done, Sham meaning names, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yeah, just had a just need to see some family. And then there was an individual there, right? But basically I just had to drop off some medication and then dip real quick. So I was like, yeah, flying, and then the other person was, oh, flying saucer, right? And you get little things like that. Certain times, you're going through things, and it was just, for me, it was just a little bit of a, a nice little kick, just to, just to remember that things ain't all bad, right? And that we have a hope, right? And that hope is salvation, right? Because I remember speaking to my gym buddy, from years ago, right? And basically, he was eating the truth and whatever, what have you. I was telling him what everything was. He was eating it, right? Until the point where I was like, so he asked the questions like, so how are you going to be saved? How are you going to be delivered from these said perils, right? And then, to explain to the chariots to him. And, for him, that was a bit too much to eat, right? However, for us, this is something that we truly believe in. This is something that we have faith in, because when we understand the power, right, that these nuclear missiles hold, right, we understand, right, that the only way out of this place is miraculously, right? So in fact, let's grab this from Wisdom, the 5th chapter, right? It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, right? And starting off with the apostles on down, that's what we're doing. We're standing in great boldness, telling these people that actually your kingdom's going down, okay? That actually you're about to go into slavery, and we're about to be raised up, right? And it goes on to say, and made no account of his labors, right? Because what's that saying? You got that saying, they started calling us lazy when we stopped working for free, right? This is when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear. Right? Why? Because the way that the children of Israel is going to be saved, right, is going to be something miraculous. It's going to be something, literally from a sci-fi movie. Right? He's ready. He's put this image out that the chariots of the Most High, these, in them are, crazy looking characters, and this and the other, little green men and whatever, what have you, which, the angels can be fearsome to look upon, right? I'm not saying that they can't be, right? However, right, Esau makes it seem like they're just some, some literally aliens, how he depicts them, right? But really, they're so-called Batman up in them, right? It says, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. Yes, the fact that the chariots are going to come up and they're going to be beaming people up, like, you see, he depicts in his movies. But the thing is, they're going to start putting together a pattern. They're going to be like, yo, why all of these, so-called, Negroes, Spics, and Hispanics, and obviously our, those the Israelite foreigners, right, whose line goes back, to Israel, right, that look like these other nations. Yeah, you do have some among them, right, but they're gonna be looking at like, yo, hey, what about us? I thought we were the ones to be saved, right? It says, so far beyond all that they look for, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he who we had sometimes in derision and the proverb of reproach. And that's what these nations think of us. They just, they just think of us as beneath them, right? They just think of us as no good for nothing, right? It says, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. Let's be honest, you see a lot of Jake, right? You see a lot of our people, y'all understand why Esau hates them, because we hate them too. The Lord hates them, right? Because right now you got the Israel of God, and then you got the rest of Israel, right? This is Romans 9 and 6. It says, not as though the word of the Most High hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel, right? So the what you call it, the Lord is only dealing with the elect right now, right? That's why when you read Zechariah the 13th chapter, in reference to America, it says that a good chunk of the Israelites just ain't gonna make it on this go around, right? This is Zechariah 13:8, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, right, land singular, right, America, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, right? So 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they're gonna be cut off and they're gonna die, right? In that land of America, and that's just it. Right? Why? Because they're wicked, man. And that's just it. That's just what it is. They're just wicked, right? Right? The Lord has stretched out His hand, and they have refused. The apostles have been out there for the longest time, but guess what? They didn't get it. There's in these jakes around that didn't get it, and you saw an example of that over the last 2 camp sessions that the apostles held. Right? One in Harlem, right, and one, elsewhere. I don't know where the other location was, but in Harlem, as they said, no one came to listen, right? So it says, but the third shall be left therein, right? So that's talking about, the 1/3 that shall be saved. It says, and I'll bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call upon my name. I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. Right? So that's proven also that we're going to have the name of the Lord on this, at this time, right? So we go back to 1 Thessalonians, right, 4:16 says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. Now, this particular event is actually, referenced in several different precepts, right, about 2nd Ezra 13th chapter, for example, right, Revelation 1:7. When the Lord comes, what does it say? It says that all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, right? Because in one hand, he's coming with healing, right? In the other hand, he's coming to hurt. Right? This is Revelation 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him. Right? So those clouds, I was referencing these chariots that we're reading about. It says, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. Right? So when people start seeing Yahweh Shah returning, the power, right? When they see the chariots, filling the skies, right? The chariots with, the laser beams doing business, right? People gonna be scared, man. Right? But once again, on the other hand, those chariots also represent salvation. Okay. So back here, it says, with the voice of it. So 1 Thessalonians 4:16, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead and Mashiach shall rise first. Yes, so those that die in this truth, right, they're gonna be, raised up with Yahushua. So it's actually, another. That's why really we shouldn't fear death, right? Yeah, obviously, we understand we've got a job to do, but if the Lord calls our number, then hey, it is what it is. Right, we take it and then we keep it moving, right? And we come back, because that's what it says in Wisdom 3rd chapter. In the side of the in the side of the unwise, they seem to die, right? Because they really ain't no such thing as death. And Yahweh shall explain that, right? With the little girl, he was like, "Hey, look, don't worry, she's just sleeping, right?" It's like, yeah, right? Yeah, Yahweh shall's like, "Look, man, she's just sleeping." It says, yeah, and the dead and Mashiach shall rise first, because the scriptures also says, greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friend. So then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord, right? And that's why, let me grab this real quick. It says Luke 21 and 27, right? It says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory, right? So another instance of what we just read in 1 Thessalonians 4, right? Speaking basically of the same event, right? So Lord Yahushua is coming back in a great chariot. This is Acts 1 from verse 9, I believe. Right, it says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up into what? Into a chariot, and the cloud received him out of their sight. And while they And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right? So what was basically being said there is how Yahushua left is the same way he's coming back. That's when we read here in Luke 21st chapter, right? It says, 27 says, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud of great power and great glory. Yeah, the same way he left, same way he's coming back. So when these things begin to pass, right, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh, right? So looking up, right, and when we go through these things, when we see chariots. That's why we say however different brothers go through that emotion differently, right? Personally, I just you say, hey, Kala, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Razar, Lord's will, I can get on one of them, because at the end of the day, that is the only way out of this mess, okay? To be with the Lord in the air, as we just read, to watch as this place is being destroyed, right? Let's read that in Revelation, what was it, 15 or 14? Revelation 15 and 2, right? It says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, right? And that's talking about the firmament, right, above the ozone layer, and then being in the chariot, watching as as the earth is being different places in the earth are being hit with the nukes, right, and that fire is hitting the upper atmosphere. It says, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, right, and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, right, in the chariot looking down, having the harps of the Most High, right? And that's going to be an occasion, right? That's going to be something remember, because it's like, let me just clear my throat. Yeah, that's going to be something to remember, right? Because in one minute, scripture says, if the righteous shall scarcely be saved. So 1 minute, just watching and being like, oh shit, hopefully I can make it. Then in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, right, we're changed, right, and we're beamed up into them chariots. We'll be of those men, right? And the next, we're looking down as the world is being destroyed, right? Rather different places in the world are being destroyed, right? Because America's going to be completely destroyed and never inhabited again. You're going to have other places that are going to be hit, but they're going to be repopulated. So yeah, that's mainly the point, man. We going that is our hope, right? To be saved and to be beamed up into them chariots, right? To not be at the receiving end of the power of those chariots, right? So yeah, as always, Lord, I was edifying. Till next time, we say shalom.